The storm battered Clearview Regional Airport, its rain hammering the tarmac as Sarah Bennett stepped from her Aston Martin, her tailored coat barely shielding her from the downpour. At 43, the CEO of Sterling Aerospace was a force of nature. Herself, her sharp green eyes and poised demeanor commanding respect in an industry that bowed to her precision. She transformed her late father's struggling charter service into a Northeast titan, catering to tech moguls and dignitaries who demanded flawless performance. Tonight, urgency had pulled her from a boardroom in the city to this rural airfield, where a $20 million Gulfstream G700, carrying tech billionaire Victor Lang and his entourage, sat grounded by a cryptic engine failure. Inside the hangar, the air was thick with tension. The local maintenance crew fumbled with outdated tools, their diagnostic screens flashing error codes they couldn't decipher. Sarah's heels clicked with purpose as she entered, her tablet already syncing with the jet systems, her mind racing to salvage Sterling Aerospace's reputation. Victor Lang, pacing outside, was not just a client but a potential partner for a national expansion deal, and his patience was thinning. Her operations director had warned her. The nearest certified team was stuck in Boston, delayed by the storm, and Lang was already calling competitors. Sarah's gaze swept the hangar, landing on Michael Carter, a grease-stained mechanic from Clearview's auto shop, crouched near the jet's exposed engine with an unsettling air of calm. His worn coveralls and calloused hands screamed small town simplicity, yet he had the audacity to suggest a software glitch in the fuel control system, his voice steady as he pointed to the diagnostic port. Sarah's laugh sliced through the hangar's hum, sharp and cold, silencing the crew. "This isn't a rusty pickup truck, Mr. Carter. That's a proprietary Pratt & Whitney engine worth more than your entire shop. I need certified engineers, not backyard tinkerers playing with systems they can't comprehend." The words hung heavy, and the crew averted their eyes. But Michael's steady brown gaze held no defiance, only a quiet resolve that unsettled her. Beneath those stained coveralls was a man Sarah couldn't see, a man who, at 39, carried stories his lips rarely shared. 6 years ago, Michael had been Dr. Michael Carter, a Caltech-educated aerospace engineer, leading propulsion projects for a top firm, his name whispered in industry circles for his innovative designs. Then, Anna, his wife, succumbed to cancer, leaving him to raise their daughter, Emily, alone. He'd traded boardrooms for Clearview simplicity, choosing a modest apartment above Main Street Diner, where mornings began at 5 a.m. with packing. Emily's lunch peanut butter sandwiches, her favorite, and evenings were spent helping with her science projects, her bright eyes mirroring her mother's creativity and his own analytical mind. At the auto shop, colleagues marveled at his knack for solving impossible mechanical problems, unaware of the doctorate and patents hidden in a locked metal box under his bed. Alongside a faded photo of Anna laughing with Emily, Michael had traded prestige for presence, choosing his daughter's smile over industry accolades. But Sarah's dismissal stirred a flicker of his old self, the engineer who thrived on challenges like this. Her words stung, not for his pride, but for the echo of a life he'd left behind. Yet he stepped back, wiping his hands on a shop rag, Emily's face anchoring him against the temptation to prove himself. Sarah, meanwhile, felt the weight of Victor Lang's impatience pressing harder. Through the hangar's rain-streaked windows, she saw the billionaire's silhouette, phone to ear, gesturing angrily. Her tablet's diagnostics confirmed Michael's assessment, a programming conflict in the fuel management system, but her pride recoiled at the idea of a local mechanic being right. She muttered to herself, lucky guess, refusing to entertain the possibility that she'd misjudged him. The storm raged on, grounding her emergency team, and time was slipping away. Lang's security detail hovered, their radios crackling with updates, and the hangar crew watched Sarah, waiting for her to take charge as she always did. Her father's mantra echoed in her mind. Sterling Aerospace demands perfection. Yet perfection seemed out of reach, and the reality of losing Lang's trust loomed large. Sarah faced an impossible choice: cling to protocol and wait for her certified team, risking the client and the deal, or trust the man she just scorned, whose quiet confidence hinted at depths she couldn't yet fathom. As rain pounded the Hangar roof and Lang's figure loomed closer. Sarah's certainty wavered, her world of control and precision colliding with a truth she wasn't ready to face. Sarah Bennett stood in the Clearview hangar, her tablet screen casting a cold glow on her face as she wrestled with the reality that Michael Carter, the unassuming mechanic she'd dismissed, had pinpointed the Gulfstream software glitch. With unnerving accuracy, the storm outside raged on, grounding her Boston team, and Victor Lang's impatient silhouette loomed through the rain-streaked windows, his phone call to competitors a ticking clock. Sarah's world was built on control, every decision calculated, every outcome engineered. But now, with her reputation and Sterling Aerospace's future at stake, she faced the unthinkable, trusting a man whose worn coveralls hid a past she couldn't yet comprehend. At 43, Sarah had clawed her way to the top of a male-dominated industry, her Stanford engineering degree and Wharton MBA forging a path through skepticism and old boys clubs. After her father's sudden heart attack a decade ago, she'd inherited a faltering charter service and transformed it into a Northeast powerhouse. Her corner office, a shrine to her Triumphs Awards, magazine covers, a scale model of the Gulfstream G700, but no family photos, no trace of a life beyond the company. Her days were a relentless march of 5 a.m. workouts, boardroom battles, and late-night strategy sessions. Her only respite the fleeting freedom of piloting her Cessna through New England skies on rare Sunday mornings. 2 broken engagements had taught her that relationships demanded compromises she couldn't afford. Her closest companion a tabby named Winston, who asked for nothing but food and silence. Her father's voice still drove her. Sterling Aerospace demands perfection, and vulnerability was a luxury she'd buried long ago. Yet Michael's quiet competence challenged her carefully constructed world. Across the hangar, Michael packed. His tools, his movements deliberate, his face betraying no reaction to Sarah's earlier scorn. At 39, he was a ghost of the man he'd been. Dr. Michael Carter, Caltech prodigy, whose propulsion designs had once set industry standards. 6 years ago, Anna's cancer diagnosis had unraveled his life. Her death left him and Emily, then 7, adrift. He'd sold their Virginia home, cashed out his patents, and moved to Clearview for its affordability and calm, where he could be the father Emily needed. Their apartment above Main Street Diner was small but warm, filled with Emily's science projects and Anna's lingering presence in a framed photo on the mantel. Mornings began at 5 a.m., Michael packing Emily's peanut butter sandwiches, helping with algebra and dropping her at school before heading to the auto shop, where his knack for solving mechanical puzzles earned quiet respect. Nights were sacred dinner. Together, Emily's stories of school drama, her dreams of building eco-friendly planes. A locked box under his bed held his old life. Patents, a Caltech diploma, a photo of him accepting an aerospace award. His smile confident but distant now. He'd made peace with his choice, trading prestige for Emily's laughter. But Sarah's dismissal stirred memories of a world where his mind had soared. As Sarah's tablet confirmed the software conflict, her irritation flared, not at Michael, but at herself for underestimating him. Protocol demanded she wait for her certified team, but Lang's ultimatum left no time. Swallowing her pride, she approached Michael, her voice low. Explained the glitch. He met her gaze, no trace of triumph. The fuel system's emergency protocol is misreading the new software, creating a feedback loop. It's fixable with a manual bypass. His clarity matched her own diagnostics, and she hated how it unsettled her. Can you fix it? She asked, her tone clipped. Yes, he said simply. 15 minutes. Sarah studied him, searching for overconfidence, finding only certainty. Do it, she said, adding, I'll be watching. Michael retrieved an industrial-grade tablet from his backpack, its presence surprising Sarah, and connected it to the jets. Systems with practiced ease. His fingers danced across the screen, navigating complex protocols with a precision that rivaled her best engineers. Lang entered the hangar, his presence a storm of its own. Sarah, my team is booking alternatives. You have 30 minutes, she nodded, maintaining her polish. We've identified the issue, Mr. Lang. A solution is underway. It was a half-truth, hinging on Michael's unproven skill. As he worked, Sarah watched, her bewilderment growing. Accessed restricted systems with ease, murmuring technical terms she hadn't heard since grad school. When a security lock appeared, he glanced at her. Authorization? Against every instinct, she entered her override code, her trust in him a gamble she couldn't afford to lose. 12 minutes later, he disconnected his tablet. Try it now. The engine hummed to life, aerolights dark, the pilot's checklist confirming success. Lang nodded, satisfied, and Sarah exhaled, relief mingling with unease. Michael had saved her client, her deal, her reputation, yet he packed his tools without fanfare, his quiet confidence more striking than any boast. As Lang's jet prepared for takeoff, Sarah found Michael in the break room, washing grease from his hands. His sleeve shifted, revealing a tattoo not art, but an intricate schematic of a Pratt & Whitney engine, proprietary and precise. Her breath caught. "Where did you get that?" she asked, sharper than intended. Michael covered it, his voice flat. "Another life." But Sarah pressed, recognizing the design's rarity. "That's a classified prototype. How do you know it?" He hesitated, then met her eyes. "I designed it. 16 engineers had access. I was one." The revelation hit her like turbulence. Dr. Michael Carter, propulsion pioneer, vanished from the industry after a personal tragedy, not a scandal. Before she could press further, he left, leaving her with questions and an unfamiliar pang of respect. 3 weeks after the Clearview hangar incident, Sarah Bennett sat in her sleek Sterling Aerospace office, the memory of Michael Carter's quiet brilliance gnawing at her. The Gulfstream crisis with Victor Lang had been averted, securing the expansion deal, but Michael's tattooed schematic and his revelation, "I designed it," lingered like an unsolved equation. She'd researched him late into the night, articles painting Dr. Michael Carter as a Caltech prodigy whose propulsion innovations had reshaped aerospace before his abrupt exit 6 years ago. No mention of his wife's death, only speculation. About burnout or espionage, none capturing the truth. A man who chose fatherhood over fame. Sarah's own life felt stark in contrast. Her waterfront penthouse, filled with awards but no warmth, echoed her father's mantra: Sterling Aerospace demands perfection. Yet Michael's choice to prioritize his daughter, Emily, stirred questions she'd never dared ask. Was her relentless ambition worth the emptiness? The call came during a board meeting, her operations director's voice tight. "Our prototype G800, the one for the military contract, crashed during a test flight in Clearview. No injuries, but it's grounded, and diagnostics point to the custom thrust vectoring system." Sarah's chest tightened. The prototype was Sterling's flagship, a $30 million gamble to secure government contracts. Her certified team was uncertified for the proprietary mods, and the lead engineer was in Europe. Without hesitation, she grabbed her keys. "I'm going to Clearview. Have schematics sent to my tablet." The drive was a blur of rain and strategy, but her mind kept drifting to Michael. At the hangar, the prototype sat under harsh lights, its sleek lines marred by the crew's uncertainty. Michael was already there, summoned by the local supervisor, his coveralls cleaner but still out of place among Sterling's branded techs. Sarah's arrival drew eyes, her authority palpable, but she approached Michael directly. "We have a cascading failure in the thrust system. I need your help." His nod was measured, no trace of "I told you so," only professional focus. "Let's get to work." They dove into the problem, Sarah shedding her suit jacket for coveralls, her usual command softened by necessity. Michael's hands moved with surgical precision, dismantling components while Sarah ran diagnostics on her tablet, their skills meshing seamlessly. His practical expertise filled gaps in her theoretical knowledge, and when she suggested rerouting a hydraulic line, he paused, considered, then nodded. "Good call." The acknowledgement, simple and genuine, startled her. Her senior engineers rarely valued her input so openly. As hours passed, the hangar emptied, leaving them in a bubble of focused collaboration. Dinner arrived, pizza, ordered by Sarah, and they sat amid tools and manuals, the conversation shifting from thrust ratios to aerospace's future. Michael mentioned Emily's dream to design eco-friendly planes, his pride subtle but fierce. She's 13 and already sketching hybrid engines. Wants to fix what my generation hasn't. Sarah saw in Emily's ambition. Her own childhood spent building model jets to impress a father too busy to notice. Her science fair wins had earned nods, not presents, and she'd vowed to earn his respect through excellence. Watching Michael, she wondered if Emily knew how lucky she was to have a father who chose her over everything. Their work stretched into the night, the prototype system stabilizing under their combined efforts. Sarah caught herself enjoying the partnership, a rare intellectual dance with someone who matched her without competing. Michael's calm competence was a stark contrast to her usual world of posturing executives. When a software lock stalled them, he glanced at her. Override? She hesitated, then entered her code, trusting him again despite protocol. The fix progressed, and by midnight, the engine hummed smoothly, test data green across the board. Sarah exhaled, relief mingling with a strange admiration. Michael packed his tools, unassuming as ever, but she noticed his tablet screen, a custom interface, not unlike her own engineers. "Who are you, really?" She wanted to ask, but held back, sensing his guarded past. As they stepped outside, the storm had cleared, stars piercing the sky. Sarah offered to drive him home, a gesture born of gratitude and curiosity. In the car, she ventured a question. "You could be leading teams at Lockheed or Boeing. Why stay here?" Michael looked out at Clearview's quiet streets. "Emily needed me. Stability, time together. That's worth more than patents or awards." His voice carried no regret, only conviction, and Sarah felt a pang. Her own life, built on achievement, felt hollow beside his clarity. At his apartment, she glimpsed Emily through the window, asleep on the couch with a science book open, her face peaceful. Michael's expression softened, a tenderness Sarah rarely saw in her world of deals and deadlines. She drove back to the city, her mind tangled with his choices and her own. Had she misjudged success all along? Michael's life, small but rich with purpose, challenged everything she'd built. The Clearview hangar's fluorescent glow faded. Behind Sarah Bennett, as she drove Michael Carter through the quiet town, the prototype jet's successful repair, a shared victory that lingered in her thoughts. The dashboard clock read 1 a.m., and the rain-slicked streets reflected streetlights, mirroring the clarity settling over her. Michael's unassuming brilliance had appended her assumptions, and his choice to prioritize his daughter, Emily, over a glittering career stirred an unfamiliar ache. Sarah's life was a monument to achievement Sterling Aerospace's rise, her father's legacy etched in every contract and award, but tonight, the emptiness of her waterfront penthouse loomed. Her tabby, Winston, waited there, indifferent to her late hours, while her days blurred into meetings and flights, her only solace the fleeting freedom of piloting her Cessna. Michael's apartment building, above Main Street Diner, stood in stark contrast, its modest facade hiding a warmth she glimpsed as he invited her up. "Just to check on Emily," he said, his voice soft. "Come in if you'd like." Curiosity pulled her forward, past her usual instinct to retreat to her controlled world. Inside, the small apartment was a tapestry of life engineering textbooks, shared shelves with Emily's sci-fi novels, a model aircraft on the coffee table, a framed photo of a smiling woman with kind eyes. Anna, Sarah presumed. Emily, 13, lay asleep on the couch, a notebook open to precise sketches of a hybrid engine, her handwriting meticulous. The babysitter, an elderly neighbor, rose with a warm smile. She insisted on finishing her project before bed, stubborn like her dad. Michael thanked her, and as she left, he gestured for Sarah to peek into Emily's room, where books and science kits spilled across a desk. "She wants to build planes that don't harm the planet," he whispered, pride threading his voice. "Says, we've left her generation too many problems." Sarah's throat tightened, memories of her own childhood surfacing building model jets for a science fair, hoping her father would notice, only to drive home alone with her ribbon, his distracted praise a hollow substitute for presence. She'd channeled that loneliness into ambition, proving herself in boardrooms where men doubted her. But Michael's life, centered on Emily, exposed the cost. He'd walked away from a career that rivaled her own, choosing dinner-table conversations over industry acclaim, and the peace in his eyes felt like a rebuke to her relentless drive. In the living room, Emily stirred, blinking awake. "Dad, you're back." Her gaze landed on Sarah, curiosity replacing sleepiness. "You're the jet lady." Michael chuckled, ruffling her hair. "Miss Bennett, meet Emily." Sarah smiled, kneeling to inspect Emily's model aircraft. "This is impressive," she said, noting the calculations scribbled beside it. "You're solving problems most engineers avoid." Emily beamed, launching into an explanation of sustainable fuels, her passion echoing Sarah's younger self, though tempered by a confidence Sarah hadn't known at 13. Michael watched, his tenderness a quiet force, and Sarah felt like an intruder on something sacred. Over coffee in the small kitchen, Michael shared more, his guard lowering. "Anna's illness was fast," he said, his voice steady but heavy. "One day she was helping Emily with math, the next she was gone. I couldn't raise Emily from conference calls or red-eye flights, so I chose her." Sarah nodded, the simplicity of his choice cutting through her world of calculated risks. Her father had been a ghost in her childhood, his company, his true child. And she'd mirrored that, sacrificing relationships for Sterling's growth. 2 broken engagements, a sterile penthouse, a cat who didn't care if she came home. Her life felt like a blueprint drawn without heart. Michael's apartment, cluttered with love and purpose, was a different design. As they talked, Emily's model sparked a question. "Why sustainable aviation?" Sarah asked. Emily, now at the table, answered with conviction. "Planes pollute too much. I want to fix that so we can still fly but not hurt the earth." Sarah saw herself in Emily's defiance of limits, but also Michael's influence, his belief in her dreams. "You remind me of someone," Sarah said, glancing at Michael. He raised an eyebrow. "Who?" "Me. When I was her age, building engines to prove I could." "But you've got something I didn't, a dad who listens." Michael's expression softened, and something shifted, a recognition of shared values beneath their divergent paths. Sarah lingered, despite her usual urge to rush back to work, her phone silent for once. Driving home, the stars above Clearview felt brighter, and her penthouse colder. Michael's life wasn't perfect, grief and sacrifice marked it, but it was full in a way hers wasn't. She'd built an empire, but he built a home. For the first time, Sarah wondered if her father's mantra, perfection at all costs, had led her astray. Michael's tattoo, his hidden past, his quiet joy with Emily, all challenged her to redefine success. As she parked, her phone lit up with a board meeting reminder, but she ignored it, her thoughts on a small apartment where a father and daughter dreamed of better engines, and the life she hadn't known she envied. The Sterling aerospace hangar buzzed with anticipation as Sarah Bennett oversaw final preparations for the annual industry showcase, the air thick with the scent of polished metal and ambition. The centerpiece, a hybrid propulsion prototype, gleamed under specialized lighting, its successful repair in Clearview thanks to Michael Carter securing a provisional military contract that could redefine Sterling's future. At 43, Sarah was in her element, her tailored suit and commanding presence drawing admiring glances from industry leaders. But her thoughts drifted to Michael and Emily, whose unexpected influence had begun to reshape her. Weeks ago, she'd seen their modest apartment, Emily's eco-friendly aircraft model, and Michael's quiet devotion, a stark contrast to her own life of sterile achievement. Her waterfront penthouse, her tabby Winston, her relentless schedule, none offered the warmth of that small Clearview home. Acting on an impulse foreign to her calculated nature, Sarah had invited Michael and Emily to the showcase, offering Emily a spot in Sterling's new scholarship for young women in aerospace. Now, as guests arrived, her assistant approached. "Your guests are in your office, Ms. Bennett." Sarah nodded, checking her watch. 20 minutes until the event's opening, and headed upstairs. In her office, Michael helped Emily adjust a display model for the Young Engineers exhibition, a sleek prototype of a sustainable jet engine. At 13, Emily carried herself with a quiet confidence, her dark curls framing a face lit with determination. As she explained her design to a curious intern, "The simulation's stable," she said, glancing at Sarah. "Dad checked my math 3 times." Sarah smiled, sharing a look with Michael. I'd expect nothing less. The moment felt intimate, a bridge between her corporate world and their grounded one. As Emily fine-tuned her presentation, Sarah and Michael stepped to the window overlooking the hangar, the crowd below a sea of suits and expectations. Michael's voice was low, teasing. "Regretting inviting the local mechanic to your fancy event?" Sarah shook her head, her usual guardedness softening. "On the contrary, Dr. Carter's presence adds credibility to our engineering commitments." His expression grew serious. "I'm not coming back to this world, Sarah. Not even for you." She met his gaze, surprising herself with her sincerity. "I'm not asking you to. Sterling's launching a flexible consulting division, remote work. Project-based, family-friendly hours." His eyebrow lifted. "That's not the efficiency-obsessed CEO I met." "She's rethinking priorities," Sarah admitted, her hand brushing his, a tentative connection. "Excellence doesn't always mean sacrifice. Sometimes it's about balance." From across the room, Emily glanced at their clasped hands, her expression unreadable but softening into a small nod, as if granting cautious approval. The showcase began, and Sarah took the stage, her speech polished yet infused with a new perspective, crediting the team and unnamed consultants for the prototype's success. Industry leaders approached Michael, drawn by whispers of his past, offering roles he politely declined. "I consult when it fits my life," he said, his eyes on Emily, who presented her model to a small crowd, her passion for sustainable aviation captivating them. Sarah watched, struck by the girl's poise, seeing echoes of her own drive, but rooted in a support she'd never had. During a break, Sarah found Michael by the prototype, his fingers tracing its lines with a mix of nostalgia and restraint. "You miss it," she said, not a question. He nodded. "The challenge, the breakthroughs, yes. But Emily's my priority." This, she gestured to the hangar, doesn't compare to her. Sarah understood, her own childhood marked by a father who chose business over her, leaving her to chase his approval through Sterling's success. She'd built an empire, but Michael's choice to build a life felt truer. Their conversation shifted to the scholarship program. Emily, one of 5 girls, mentored by Sterling's engineers. "It's a start," Sarah said. "A way to give girls like her a path without the barriers I faced." Michael smiled, the warmth reaching his eyes. "You're changing the game. It suits you." The words, simple and genuine, hit deeper than any boardroom praise. As the event wound down, Sarah lingered with Michael and Emily, the hangar emptying. Emily packed her model, chattering about her next project, a solar-powered drone. Sarah listened, drawn into her vision, and offered a suggestion on energy efficiency that Emily scribbled down eagerly. Michael watched, his pride quiet but palpable. Outside, the night air was crisp, the stars bright above the airfield. Sarah felt a shift, her usual urge to rush to the next task absent. She'd always defined herself by Sterling's ascent, her father's voice demanding perfection. But Michael and Emily showed her something else, a life where excellence included connection. Their hands brushed again as they walked to her car, and she didn't pull away, the contact grounding her in a way her corner office never had. This, she realized, was what she'd been missing, not just partnership, but presence. As she drove them to Clearview, Emily asleep in the back, Sarah glanced at Michael. "You've given her something I never had," she said softly. "A father who's there." He looked at her, his voice low. "And you're giving her a chance to soar. That matters." The words sealed a bond neither had sought, professional respect evolving into something unspoken, but real. Sarah's heart, so long guarded, felt open, vulnerable, alive. 6 months after the Sterling Aerospace Showcase, Sarah Bennett stood in Clearview's community center, the hum of excitement filling the air as local families gathered for the town's annual science fair. The military contract, secured thanks to the prototype's success, had elevated Sterling to new heights, but Sarah's focus was on Emily Carter, who was presenting her eco-friendly aircraft design to a small crowd. At 43, Sarah had spent years chasing her father's mantra. Sterling Aerospace demands perfection, but her regular trips to Clearview had shifted her perspective. Her waterfront penthouse, once a symbol of triumph, now felt like a hollow shell compared to the warmth of Michael and Emily's life. Michael, 39, stood beside her, his worn jacket a quiet rebellion against the corporate world he'd left behind. His past as Dr. Michael Carter, Caltech prodigy and propulsion pioneer, was no secret to Sarah anymore, but he remained rooted in Clearview, consulting for Sterling on his Tums project-based, remote, always home for Emily's bedtime. Their collaboration had grown into a cautious friendship, marked by coffee meetings at Clearview's bookstore cafe, where discussions of aerospace ethics and sustainable design bled into personal confessions. Sarah had shared her childhood, the science fairs her father missed, the loneliness that fueled her ambition. Michael had opened up about Anna's death, the wrenching choice to leave his career for Emily, and the peace he'd found in their small apartment above Main Street Diner. Tonight, Emily, now 13 and a half, stood confidently by her display, her model aircraft, a solar-powered prototype, drawing gasps from the crowd. Her presentation, polished by Sterling's scholarship program, outlined a vision for carbon-neutral aviation, her voice steady as she answered questions from local engineers. Sarah, in a rare casual sweater, clapped alongside Michael, their shared pride in Emily a bridge between their worlds. The scholarship, now mentoring 5 girls including Emily, was Sarah's brainchild, a way to give young women the support she'd lacked. And Emily's progress felt like a personal victory. Michael leaned in, his voice low. "She's thriving. Because of you." Sarah shook her head. "She's thriving because of us. You gave her the foundation. I just opened a door." His smile, warm and unguarded, stirred something in her, a longing for connection she'd buried under boardroom battles. As Emily finished, a local teacher approached, praising her work, and Emily beamed, glancing at her dad and Sarah for approval. The moment felt like family, a word Sarah hadn't dared apply to her life. Later, they walked to the diner, Emily chattering about her next project, a drone with biodegradable components. Sarah listened, offering a suggestion on material composites, and Emily scribbled it down, calling her Miss B with a grin. Michael laughed, the sound easing Sarah's usual tension. At the diner, they shared a booth, hot chocolate steaming as Emily sketched ideas on a napkin. Sarah watched Michael, his attention wholly on his daughter, and saw the man who'd traded patents for presents, a choice she now admired, her own. Life had changed: fewer late nights, more trips to Clearview. Her assistant shocked when she blocked off evenings for personal time. She'd even started cooking, a clumsy attempt at pasta that Winston, her tabby, had ignored. The scholarship program had expanded, and Michael's consultations brought Sterling's projects new ingenuity, his ideas implemented without pulling him from Emily. Their coffee meetings had become a ritual, professional at first, then personal. One evening, weeks ago, Sarah had admitted, "I look forward to these more than my board meetings." Michael had nodded, his hand brushing hers. "Me too. Lately, I'm building something meaningful here too." The words, simple but weighted, acknowledged. A bond neither had planned, a partnership rooted in respect, growing into something deeper. Tonight, as Emily debated aerodynamics with a classmate, Sarah and Michael sat close, their shoulders touching. She ventured, "You've shown me success isn't just awards or contracts. It's this being here, mattering to someone." He looked at her, his eyes steady. "You're mattering to us, Sarah." The admission, quiet but real, sealed a shift. She wasn't the ice queen of aerospace anymore, nor was he just a local mechanic. They were two people redefining what mattered. As the fair ended, Emily won first place, her ribbon pinned proudly to her board. Sarah clapped, her heart full, remembering her own childhood wins, unwitnessed by her father. Michael hugged Emily, whispering something that made her laugh, and Sarah felt a pang of envy, not for their bond, but for the peace they'd found. Driving them home, she glanced at Emily, asleep in the back, and Michael, his profile soft in the dashboard light. "I'm starting a new division at Sterling," she said. "Sustainable aviation, inspired by Emily. I'd like your input, on your terms." He nodded, a slow smile spreading. "Count me in. And maybe next time, we skip the diner for dinner at your place." Sarah laughed, the idea of hosting them in his sterile penthouse both terrifying and thrilling. "Deal," she said, her hand finding his for a moment. Back in Clearview, the diner's neon sign glowed, and Sarah lingered as Michael carried a sleepy Emily upstairs. From her car, she saw their apartment light flick on, a warm glow against the night. Her phone buzzed a board meeting reminder, but she silenced it, choosing this moment over her old life. Excellence, she realized, wasn't her father's rigid perfection but a balance of ambition and connection. A lesson learned from a mechanic who'd once been more, and a girl who dreamed of better skies.